And we're live.
Haha,
Oh, that
it
was
joke.
exciting.
Sorry about that, folks.
Okay, do we want to pick up where we left off? I think we were talking about the difference between VCs and angels, right? Is that where we were? Okay, so I was just explaining that angels, in fact, because they're investing their own money, can do smaller amounts. They do smaller investment amounts, and one of the big benefits of angels can also be that depending on your industry, they may be able to provide you with advice, with industry contacts, and or make introductions that can really be beneficial to your business on top of the money that they provide you. The difference, the principal difference in having an angel investor is that while a venture capitalist is going to have sort of a protocol for how they interact with you, they're going to expect monthly reports, they're going to want to talk to you quarterly and have kind of an annual review. Angel investors are each very individual, and so you may have an angel investor, depending on their particular style, they may want to see you every week, or they may not want to see you for 6 months. So there's a benefit to going with an angel because the money may match up better and the industry contacts, etc., may match up better, but because it's a person, you can't kind of assume that there's this structure that exists. So you really need to take a little more time to get to know the person when you invest with an angel, even more so than when you invest with a VC. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I think, I don't remember how we got back on angels and VCs, because at one point we were talking about bootstrapping, right?
Yeah, I was just asking, to explain the different types of financing.
Right.
That's how I got into it.
Okay. Well, yeah, and we did our little, bootstrap, borrow, and bet kind of division. So really, we've covered the bet part. We can come back to it if we think it's useful. But let's talk about the bootstrapping if you want. There's really 3 ways that we can bootstrap. You can either improve your operations, okay, which means you either find a way to increase revenues or you find a way to decrease expenses, which we can get into more detail on that. You do a better job managing your cash flow, which means that instead of being maybe hostage to paying all your bills on the 1st of the month when your clients normally pay on the 15th, you take the time and effort to go back and renegotiate with your vendors so that you pay later once your client invoices have all been received. There's also other ways to manage that, but basically changing the timing of when cash comes in and out of your business so that it's to your advantage can help you bootstrap. And the third way is this notion of finding free money. Okay, and when I say free, this is where we went back to there are always strings attached. But there are grants that exist. They're relatively hard to get, but they do exist. There are some other ways that you can get, quote, free money. And there's always, friends and family, which, again, not free, but a lot easier than a bank. So, I don't know, do you guys want to run through those different pieces individually, or do we want to talk about borrowing kind of globally and then go back?
I think, again, from my perspective, I think a lot of small businesses are in the position where they could possibly go and get financing from, I think a lot of our audience are not going to be in the kind of angel investor, or VC. There might be a few, but if we could just talk about, going to your bank, like what we were talking about in the green room before, about the way we've done it at ISOOSI is actually, we have a credit line with the bank. And we are only paying for what we need to take out at any time, so it's not like a loan, and it helps in times of where you need cash flow, but you're only we're only taking out when we need it. But you were raising some really good points before, relating to making sure that you're not personally guaranteeing that line of credit. And that it is actually in the business name. And then if we can also bring into that conversation the importance of, you've got a credit, everybody's always seen these adverts for credit score and making sure that their personal credit score is in check. But one thing I learned when moving to this, to the US in 2003 is it's just as important to make sure that your business credit is good and, working on your D&B rating, things like that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and I think that's also an important part of managing your business finances. And again, it's we're smart people, and a lot of people are afraid of finance because they don't know a lot about it. It's not that they can't understand it, it's just that they haven't had exposure to it. So, I don't think there are any dumb questions except the one that you don't ask. So to me, one of the most important things that we're doing for people, hopefully this afternoon, is helping them understand it's okay to ask these kinds of questions. There aren't any really dumb questions out there about finance, but you do have to go get the information and educate yourself. One thing I'd like to say, we've talked about all these different pieces, different ways you could find financing. One thing that I think is really important that a lot of people have trouble with is they don't necessarily create a budget that allows them to see how much money they need. So they're out there looking for financing, and they maybe see, oh, I need something for the next 3 months because I'm continually having this problem of not being able to pay my bills. That's a problem, and I understand that, but you really need to look further out than the next 3 months. You really need to have a good handle on, to get my business to break even. Break even is the point where your sales cover all of your costs. To get my business to break even, how much do I really need? Because a solution that works for you for 3 months may not work for you for the 18 months it takes to get you to break even. And so when you're making the decision about how to finance, you also really need to know, do I need $10,000 or do I need $100,000? Okay, so I would encourage people, instead of kind of diving in and saying it's going to work itself out, to take a little time and do some planning and really understand how much money you're going to need, both so you know how much you're going to commit to the business if it's your own money, but also so that you're able to intelligently talk to whoever it is you look for the money from. If you know, for example, that you're going to need $50,000, then credit cards probably are not your solution, for example. So let's talk a little bit about credit. That's one of the things that we mentioned in the green room. Credit, which is the borrowing piece, is like it is on the personal side, on the personal finance side. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It can be really great because a lot of times it's very easy to obtain, and as long as you can pay it back, it doesn't cost you anything, or it costs you the $100 fee that it costs you to have the credit card for the year. However, as soon as you're not able to reimburse credit card debt, it costs you upwards of 20%, and if you include late fees and things like that, it can cost you upwards of 30%, which starts to be as expensive, just to keep in mind, it starts to be as expensive as angel investor money. Okay, so you don't want to use credit card debt if you're not going to be able to pay it back. It's not a long-term financing solution. Okay. Something else that if you're going to look at more of a traditional loan structure where you borrow, say $50,000 today. Sorry, Bill, did you have a question?
No. I
oh, okay. Okay. If you're going to borrow, say, $50,000 today and pay it back over time, that's where you're going to actually go into the bank and make a loan request. There are a few things that you're going to need to have. The principal thing is that you're going to need to have an explanation of what that $50,000 is going to be used for. And I'll give you a clue. If it's to pay yourself, you're probably not going to get your loan. It needs to be for something other than your own salary. Although you do have the right to earn money off your business, no one's going to loan you money to do that. It is better if it is for the purchase of equipment, even to the extent if you need to buy a car for your company, consider leasing the car. It can build credit for your company, as well as ease some cash flow issues. There's some tax advantages as well. Generally, when you purchase a car, you can write off the value of the car if it's the first one that you've purchased for the company under Section 179, which reduces your tax liability for that year as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use credit to your advantage, but one of the things that we were talking about with Carlos is quite often, because banks are in the business of lending money, they want to be able to lend you money. And so one of the ways that they're able to do that if you're their customer, both personally and on the business side, is that they can actually use your personal assets, your bank account or any savings accounts, retirement accounts that you have, to guarantee a loan that they make to your business. Okay? What this means is, if for some reason your business doesn't pay back what it borrowed from the bank, you as an individual are responsible for paying it back. Now, if you're aware and you choose to take that risk, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, you just need to be aware. I think, unfortunately, some owners get themselves into a situation where they need cash now, and they don't read the fine print, and they don't understand that, in fact, they've just mixed their business and their personal assets, and so they've put personal assets at risk within their business, which really goes against the whole concept of having a business separate from your personal assets.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things to be very, very careful of. Believe in your business by all means, but keep it separate and don't lose everything. Don't put everything on the line.
Right. And one thing I would add that I think some people, when they're first starting out, don't realize is that you really need to keep your personal and your business finances separate, meaning you need a separate account. You need a separate checking account for your business, and you need to only use your business account for business expenses and your personal account for personal expenses. I know it seems kind of semantic and a little weird, but the truth is that there have been cases where people who actually had a ton of personal money lost their personal assets because they had mixed their business and personal assets, and so their business was sued, and they lost the lawsuit in their business even though their business didn't have enough money. The judge agreed that they hadn't protected their business properly and that their business and personal were actually mingled, so that the company that won the lawsuit was actually able to take some personal assets.
Stephanie, the thing that I find very interesting about this entire conversation, I'm incredibly grateful that you've taken the time to share with us, and the thing I find interesting is that you always hear people say, we've got this big idea, we're going to make this big company, and Google's going to buy us for $9 billion, or Facebook's going to buy us for $9 billion, right? And the thing I find interesting is that, I'm just now thinking for the first time, I'm guessing Facebook and Google aren't just running around out there finding companies or looking for companies. I'm guessing at some point, they didn't just find these amazing companies. What happened is these companies had their ducks in a row, and they had their assets together, and they were planning for and looking for an exit strategy. And so it's really valuable, I think, valuable information. And I know Carlos is a lot more intelligent and analytical than I am, and he thinks about this sort of stuff. But no, he's shaking his head no. But I never really did. I never thought about this stuff, and I just think, of course you would think this way, and of course you would plan for this, because then you can actually go out, if an exit strategy is indeed your strategy, you can go out and you can find.
Yeah, and Google Hangouts strikes again.
It's the second red pill. Oh no.
But one of the things we're also pointing out is even people who wouldn't consider an exit strategy, if you ever need to borrow some money to save your business, the time you've put in now to thinking on how you can increase its value, how it's going to be valued, is going to determine all of that. Even a bank loan is going to be partially based on what the business is worth. So even the safest form of cash, this is going to help you with. So do please, take some time, not only from this hangout, but this is a really good time to be talking to your accountant after this. Sometime this week, give your accountant a call and have a look at what you can do about increasing the value of your business. What assets can you add that won't cost you very much, but will have a significant effect on how your business is valued and how it will be able to raise capital if it ever needs to.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that's always it's difficult, right? Because your business is your baby. You don't want to think about, I don't want to. My kids are small still, and I don't want to think about when they're going to leave home and they're going to do their own thing and they're not going to need me anymore. But if you're building a business to be a source of revenue, which is the profits, that you're generating every year, but also to be your retirement. Because, again, as we talked about at the very beginning, for most of us who are business owners, your business is going to be the most valuable asset you have. So it's going to have a huge impact on your ability to retire comfortably. And so you need to be thinking, even if all you want to do is work in your business until you get ready to stop, whether that's at 65 or 55 or 81, I don't know, whenever you want, you need to be able to have something that has value to someone else. Otherwise, you'll have worked all these years, and you're going to get to the end and be stuck. And not, again, if you decide you want to pass it to your son, that's beautiful. I think that's great. You want to pass him something that's worth something. right? You know, you want him to be successful as well. And so to me, there's no reason not to look at the value, kind of like what Ammon was saying. You know, there's always a reason to keep the end in mind and to plan for how can I make this better, how can I make this as well, you know, something that I can step away from. While we all love working 24 hours a day, right now, it may not be something we want to do when we're 60. And if we've set our business up so that other people can help us and step in and continue to do the great job that we've been doing or provide the excellent service we've been providing to our customers, that means we continue to reap the benefits, but we don't have to do all the work ourselves. So really try to think longer term and start with the end in mind, you know, as much as you can. What can I do to you know, if my wildest dreams came true, what would I do? Would I sell my business to Google? You know, what would that look like? How many people would I need to work for me? How much revenue would I have to attract Google to my business? That's not crazy talk. It's just a scenario you need to think about, and if it's something really that you want to do, sit down with your accountant or with, you know, an Excel wizard that you've got on staff and figure it out. You know, really put some numbers to that and see how that would work.
And sometimes it can be discovering a second dream. You know, a lot of us, we're working on a project, and as we're expanding and going through, trying to build that business, we find something even more fun. And it starts off as a kind of project within it, but it can sometimes lead to a life of its own. It needs to be a separate company, and being able to switch horses, to sell one, to build the one you prefer, is obviously a huge benefit again.
Right, and I think the other thing that's important, and I'm on the soapbox a lot, so sorry, but that's just life. That's who I am. You know, I think the more you're comfortable with the financial aspect of your business, the better you're able to manage your business. Because the truth is, everybody outside your business is going to look at the finances. They're going to want to know how profitable you are. They're going to know what kind of return on investment you're offering, you know, based on what you're asking them to put into your company. Well, if you manage your business that way, discussions like that are not going to be, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say to these people. They're going to be, I'm calm, I'm confident, I know what I'm talking about because these are the numbers I use every day to manage my business anyway. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I have to put on this big show. It's just the way you run your business. And not only does that help you be more calm and make a great impression, but it also helps you understand everything that they tell you back. You know, you're not going to have to call your accountant in the middle of a meeting, excuse me, I need to go to the bathroom. And you go in the hall and call your accountant, what the heck does this mean? You know, it gives you more power and it puts you in a position to really make the right decision for you. Because to me, that's the truth is, while I'm out here preaching about finance, it's not because I want to sell my services, it's because I really don't want business owners to get screwed. I want them to be as successful as they possibly can be, and they need tools to do that. And sometimes it means they need a kick in the butt because they're afraid of finance. Well, okay, I can do that.
So there you have it, all small business owners. Stephanie wants you all to remain chaste for the rest of your lives.
I've got a question for you.
Sure.
Just say a business does have its, you know, they're taking you advice. They've got the ducks in the row. They've got a good handle on what they're doing, but they just don't have the connections now to get in front of a VC or an angel investor. Is the places that you can recommend that are reputable? You know, because I'm sure, like every industry, there's places out there where, you know, folks could get hurt in terms of the relationships they get into or the business investment relationships they get into. Is there some good resources that you could recommend for finding out or getting introduced to VCs and/or angel investors?
Sure. I think probably the best place to start for the people who are listening this afternoon and this evening is AngelList. It's a website that's actually...
That's not Angie's List.
That's not Angie's List. It's not the same. No, it's an L, not an I. And it doesn't have an S. It's angellist.com, I think. It may be .org. I'll have to check, but I'll put it in the comments. And essentially what that is, it's kind of like a dating service for angel investors and companies. You as a company, for example, can put a description of what you're doing, how much money you're looking for, what industry you're in, who your management team is, you know, kind of a nice little advertisement for your business and why they should be interested in you. You can also look through the database of investors who are signed up on AngelList to see if there might be in your area, because that a lot of times, particularly for angels, they want someone who's in the same geographic region so they can visit you. Sometimes it's also, you know, going to be sorted by how much money you're looking for. You can look at someone who's really in your target area. You can also look at industries. You know, if you need somebody who can help you get the right contacts, say you're in distribution, you know, you're going to go into Walmart or something like that. Clearly, contacts are very critical in that kind of a business. You might want to look for somebody who's got good, you know, retail distribution contacts. All that information can be had on AngelList for free, and if nothing else, it'll give you you'll have to go through the exercise of asking yourself the right questions. You know, to fill out the profile, you'll have to ask yourself the right questions, and you'll at least get a few leads for angel investors that you can either approach directly through AngelList, or if you prefer, you can approach them outside. You know, just find out their name and address and approach them. Yeah. For venture capital, it's a very diverse group. You know, you can't really say venture capitalists like to be approached like this. Quite often, venture capitalists, the bigger firms, prefer to be approached by referral, meaning that they want someone who's already done a transaction with them to refer you to them before you actually, they don't want you cold calling them, basically. So one of the things that you can type in on Google is venture capitalist and your industry. That'll usually give you a decent list of people who are in your industry. And some other places to check would be, for example, venture accelerators. We didn't really talk about that tonight, but venture accelerators are sort of like mini business schools. It's a place where you can go, and oftentimes they'll give you money. If you're accepted into the accelerator, they'll give you money, and they'll give you a 3, 6, or even sometimes 9-month set of courses designed to help you get your business to a point where you can find additional investment. And quite often, the advantage that they have is that they already know some investors who've worked with prior companies. So if you go through the accelerator program, then they can either introduce you directly, or a lot of times they'll have a meet and greet. You know, they'll do a happy hour or something like that where they invite local venture capitalists into the accelerator itself to meet their new program participants. So it's another place to check.
Yeah, that's some great information there, and we'll get the links into the event page, or to the original event page, after the call. Did you want to wrap up, Ammon?
Yeah. I'm really sorry for everything that's happened today, everyone watching. Yeah. Google really decided not to play nicely today. Eric still hasn't been able to get back. We've had a fantastic show. Stephanie, we want to thank you so very, very much for joining us, and especially sticking with us with everything. Oh,
sure. It was my pleasure.
Have you got any wrap-up thoughts before we go?
What I'd really love to have everyone do is continue to ask questions on the event page, and I'm happy to come back in and answer as many as I can. You know, if you're interested in learning more about financeability, feel free to head to the website. It's finance-ability.com. We're still under construction, but we hope to be live in the next few weeks, and I would love to have you all over there. Hopefully I'll be giving out even more helpful information and giving you a way to test your financeability so that you can really see where you are and what type of financing is right for you. Hopefully it'll eliminate some of the stress that we've been talking about of going down the wrong road, you know, help you get on the right road from the start.
Bill, anything you'd like to add before we go?
I'm not sure how much I can add. I have worked for a couple of companies that did go through using an angel investor and were run by serial entrepreneurs who were churning through companies with some success, but it's not easy. The valuation stuff that we talked about was one of the things that they like to talk about a lot and describe to us to justify some of the things that we were doing as business, some of the steps we were taking in terms of offering services and working on projects that we were working upon. Uh, so yeah, the suggestions on talking to an accountant and walking through steps that you can take to improve the value of your company. I think that's a great suggestion for anybody who wants to dig in deeper.
Carlos, take us home.
Yeah, thanks again to Stephanie Sims, and thanks Bill and Ammon. And I've definitely learned a lot, and I'm going to be contacting Stephanie outside of this chat afterwards. I've learned a heck of a lot today. But yeah, tune in next week. Hopefully we won't have as many of the gremlins as we've had today, but Tuesday 3 p.m. Eastern next week, and we'll have another great ISOOSI chat for you. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, leave some
Thanks,
love in
guys.
the comments, and hopefully we'll have Stephanie back again. Maybe next time we'll look at actually, building from scratch to sell for the serial entrepreneurs.
Sure.
Thanks everyone for joining us.